Alright folks, well now I want to talk about the project standards. So for each of your labs and for the final version of the project, you're going to be expected to follow all of these standards, and if you don't, there's going to be marks deducted. Again, generally the deductions will be fairly minor unless it's something that you're failing to do over and over and over again, or where in cases where it's really blatant. But it is something that I expect you to follow all the way through the project as we go. So let's see, what did I want to talk about here? So as usual, what we've got here, the video is just a bit of an overview of things. I expect you to go through the document for the project standards and make sure you understand it thoroughly. So usual idea, if you go to the course webpage and follow the handy dandy link to the project section, there is a link there to talk about the standards themselves. So you do need to read this through. There's a lot of information here. The standards cover a lot of things beyond just the code itself. So the standards include material on version control, the way you're supposed to use Git, the kinds of things that belong in Git commits and whatnot. There are standards covering the compilation process that you have to follow, the error flags, the fact that you're not allowed to submit code that generates errors when it compiles or generates warnings when it compiles, attribution of other people's work, rules on input checking, sanitation, right, making sure that you've got valid input, rules on output, and then the usual ideas for the code itself, you know, the layout, the commenting, variable names, constants, use of constants, that kind of thing. C++ specific material. You're going to be writing bash code, so there's bash specific standards as well. You're going to be writing makefiles, so there's standards for those as well. You're going to be writing some documentation, so there's discussion of that as well. And again, the idea is you need to follow all of these for all of the parts of the project, for all of the labs. It's not something where at the very end you can go through and clean it up and say, there, it's done. These are expected to be followed as you develop your code all the way through. So do make sure you've read that. Do make sure you understand what's going on there. Do ask me if you have questions. So again, one of the big things is to read the section on version control. You're expected to do all of your work for the project, all of the coding work on our servers. You're expected to commit regularly every time you make kind of a small functional change. Right? Every time you implement a new function or get some new aspect of it working, you're expected to make a commit for that. It's not a case of you can just put hundreds of lines of code in and commit it all at once. Right? I don't want to see stuff just magically appear in your code repository. I want to be able to go through your Git repository, go through your history, and see your evolving implementation of the different portions of the project. Each of the commits needs to follow the code standards. So again, it's not a case of write a whole bunch of super messy code and then clean it up at the last minute before you submit for the lab. Every time you do a commit, I expect you to follow the standards as you write your code. Right? The idea is that following standards like this is what allows you to work more effectively. Right? Just adding them in at the last minute isn't doing you any good. And again, read the ones on compilation and execution. No errors when you compile it, no warnings when you compile it, no errors or warnings when it runs. Right? Everything has to work cleanly, right? No exceptions. And again, look at the standards for the other aspects of the project as well, for the bash portions, makefile portions, and whatnot. So do read through the standards. Do make sure, I think I've talked about most of this as we go through. There is information on good design. Part of that is a little bit limited, right? It tells you that you're supposed to follow good design standards. But for a big portion of this, I'm telling you what the design is. I'm going through and saying, you know, you have to use these classes the way they're laid out, following the header files I give you. So if I expect you to clean up a portion of the design that I've provided, I'll let you know about that. There will be places where I do things like, say, take this chunk of code that I've given you and make it conform to our standards, for instance. So there might be aspects of it that do not currently, and you're going to need to fix that without breaking the code. So these are some of the things to keep in mind. Again, the biggest thing is to go through the standards document, make sure you understand it, review it periodically over the term as we hit new things and new aspects that you suddenly have to work with, and ask me if you've got questions, and we should be able to get everything covered. Okay, I think that's where I will leave this one. We'll continue on with this sort of thing when we talk about Lab 1 in the first week.